Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, the comedy industry, a phrase which helps the algorithm. Today is the Super Bowl preview episode. One topic that seems to come up every year is, hey, they ought to let a comedian do Super Bowl halftime. Now, I don't think that will ever happen, but let's say it did. Who should play Super Bowl halftime? Now, my vote, which I think will be awesome, will never ever happen because he's not quote-unquote cool enough, is Weird Al. But I do think if they named Weird Al and everybody went in on it, and there would definitely be ways to work in non-comedic musicians to a Weird Al halftime. But can you imagine how epic that would be? And it would just be fun. And Weird Al would be great to be put in front of the press, and there are no Weird Al scandals, and nothing horrible is going to happen, and everyone could just have a good time, and he could play Eat It and White and Nerdy, and we could have a good time. But that's not going to happen. Another name that comes up, and this may surprise you that I don't think it's crazy, would be Adam Sandler. People really like Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler has no known enemies except possibly me, and even I like Adam Sandler. I just don't think his comedy is funny. But people like those dumb songs. He could come out and do some Opera Man or make up a Super Bowl song and do that Farley song, and I'm sure Sandler could do some sort of musical thing at halftime that people would enjoy. Another name that I think is interesting, Dave Chappelle. Now, that would be edgier. Also, these things tend to be pre-recorded, so I don't think you're going to have Dave Chappelle pantomiming previously recorded stand-up, so you would have Chappelle with a live mic in the middle of a Super Bowl. Who knows what would happen? But Chappelle is also friendly with several cool musicians, so I think there's a way to somehow do a Dave Chappelle halftime. That would certainly get talked about. And another name I saw this week that I don't think is exciting, but maybe America would get behind Nate Bargatze halftime, but his particular energy, I don't know if that works for a Super Bowl halftime. That might just be weirdly awkward and set us back 50 years ever having a comedian at halftime again. If Bad Bunny is not your thing, get over yourself, but you can change the channel. Turning Point USA is going to have an alternative to the Super Bowl halftime. It's called the All-American Halftime Show. On The Daily Show, Michael Costa joked that only the radical woke communists who hate America are excited to watch a performance by the most popular musician in America, Bad Bunny. Stephen Colbert said, according to the press release, the show is called the All-American Halftime Show in a font that is called T-shirt on a quiet angry dad at Disney World. Colbert had some fun with the names of the musicians. Stephen said, as you may have noticed from the poster, Kid Rock is not rocking this one alone. He'll be joined by country singers Brantley Gilbert, Gabby Barrett, and Lee Brice. Powerhouse lineup. He tagged that with also appearing are Gary Lee Grant, Ghibli Brantlett, Daly Barrett, Tandley Breitbart, Billy Giddy, and Baby Bilbo. Costa said, man, that's a real who's who of who. Colbert also joked where you could watch the alternative halftime show. He said it'll be on TBN, DW+, Charge, and Rumble, which are real platforms. He also said Crunch, Cramble, Hunkle, Krampus, and Paramount+. iSpot did some research of the 15 Super Bowl ad previews that they researched. 12 triggered, quote, funny reactions from viewers. Spoilers for the commercials coming up, all right? So the rest of this episode, I'm going to spoil the commercials. So if you're like, John, you ruined the Super Bowl for me, okay, you should punch out, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Everybody else who's still here. Spoiler, the highest funny score went to the commercial for Instacart. That features Ben Stiller. They have a musical performance about choosing the perfect banana. Mac Packer Andy Samberg will be Meal Diamond in a Hellman's commercial. We'll talk about that some more. Fanatics, who had a terrible, terrible week on the internet, people noticed that Fanatic sports jerseys aren't the best quality. A lot of complaining, especially on Twitter this week. They have an ad with Kendall Jenner mocking the Kardashian curse, the internet conspiracy that dating members of the family ruins an athlete's game. Novartis has an ad with NFL players telling viewers to relax your tight end and get a blood test for prostate cancer. I see what you did there. Marcelo Hernandez, he does one thing, and he does one thing really well. We'll see if he can do another thing well. He'll be in an ad for Wells Fargo. Their new campaign is Celebrating Every Win. We're told it showcases how the banking app helps customers achieve personal finance, blah, 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 blah. We are told Marcelo Hernandez brings humor and authenticity as he pays tribute to everyday financial wins like growing savings or sticking to a budget. Marcelo shows up complete with confetti, music, and dancing. His comedic presence reinforces the message that success looks different for everyone. Another Mac Packer, Keegan-Michael Key, he'll be with Danny McBride in an ad. Keegan-Michael Key told USA Today, someone said a long time ago, generality is the enemy of all art, and that specifically is what makes art good. The challenge is, how do you do something specific that is universal at the same time? I feel like he just said a lot of words, and I love Key. He continued, it sounds like they're diametrically opposed, these two concepts, but that's very often what people at an ad agency have to do. How do you reach the most amount of people with the most interesting, most salient material possible? I embrace that challenge. In the ad, he and Danny McBride are insurance agents hoping to reassure Haley Stanfield that their insurance agency is on the level. In the commercial, they launch into a rendition of John Bon Jovi's Livin' on a Prayer. Key says it's working multi-generationally because you're talking about an anthem everybody knows. It's a perfect song because it's one of the few songs where everybody in our society knows the song. Keegan-Michael Key calls Jake from State Farm one of the most iconic figures in the ad space. I guess that's true, but I don't know. So was Jared. We don't want to go there. Don't go there, John. Okay, move along. Okay, I'll keep going. Key said, I'm excited, I'm nervous, but I have to tell you, I feel very confident about this piece of content. MacPacker Andy Samberg teamed up with Hellman's. Samberg breaks apart Sweet Caroline to build the mythology of Meal Diamond. Meal Diamond is a man born in a deli who communicates almost entirely through sandwiches. Samberg said he built out the character. He said, we were Weird Al-ing it, as they say. It takes a real skill to do it in a way that's actually funny. For me, on this one, it was finding a way to make it a different character who had his own life backstory. The joke started with just the name Meal Diamond. Samberg turned it into a fully fledged person. He explains, you're essentially dealing with someone who was born in a deli and has never left and is therefore using the joy and love of sandwiches to reach out and connect with people. It paints a nice picture of this character. Akiva Schaefer helped out on it. Samberg says the process we usually have is to start with a premise, then you start recording, you see if it's making you laugh. If not, you bail and you try something different. Some lines stuck immediately. Samberg said, I love the line, I'll squirt you while I'm walking by. That made me laugh the most. I'm intrigued now. Let me see if this is online already as I record on Friday. Ooh, I think I found it.
I was born in this deli. My best friend was that baloney. That is until I met you. Ham, touching cheese, touching you. Sweet sandwich time. Hellman's makes it taste so good. This is how I make friends. I'll squirt you while I'm walking by. Broken and I can leave.
No, thank you.
Yes!
Oh my goodness, that is so epic. I was sitting here capturing the audio with a big smile on my face. I almost wanted to talk as I recorded it. I love that so much. That is so catchy. We may have to play that a second time at the end. Wow, so much fun. Samberg said, I hope they just smile or laugh. You got it, buddy. That's pretty much my goal with almost everything I work on, says Andy. Even just a giggle or smirk, I'd settle. You got a big smile out of me, and I'm a comedy snob. Mikey Day has a spot making fun of Is It Cake? In the ad, we imagine a world where people are wearing a new creme de pistachio cashmere body mist, and they are mistaken for cake. Makeup and beauty brand ELF. This stars Melissa McCarthy. She learns how to roll her R's in order to prepare for the world's biggest reggaeton show, that one by Bad Bunny, the halftime show. McCarthy realizes she doesn't speak Spanish. She crashes her car. She wakes up in a telenovela titled Melissa. And Bowen Yang is making one of his first major appearances since leaving Saturday Night Live. In this ad, we see Bowen Yang settling into his new life. He's lounging on a tropical beach. He's planning a party and snacking on salty crackers. He speaks to a friend through a shell phone and promises not to call the friend prosciutto. Also in the ad, Scarlett Johansson and Jon Hamm. Boy, no offense to Bowen, who's, a nice-looking guy, but, personally, if I were at a commercial with Scarlett Johansson and Jon Hamm, I would look like an unbelievable, hideous troll. I have a photo of me and Bruce Campbell, Bruce Campbell, the actor? He's a handsome man, and I'm in this photo with him, and I'm like, ew, yuck, who's the ugly guy with Bruce Campbell? So I would not want to be in a commercial with Jon Hamm and Scarlett Johansson, yikes. Anyway, in the ad, there's John Hamm, and he says, another day, another Ritz party. Why didn't they invite us? Bowen says, well, we're salty, and we hate parties and mingling and yapping. John Hamm says, they do have Ritz crackers, though. Let's go for 5 minutes. IBB Online writes, comic actor Tim Robinson is many things. Quirky, yes. Daft, also yes. But evil? That's perhaps a step too far. In an ad for Rippling, Tim Robinson appears to have fumbled his way into the leadership of a particularly villainous organization. In the spot, Tim's vengeful simpleton is attempting to airdrop a monster called Baby Breck into the city via helicopter. Unfortunately, the mayhem cannot commence because Baby Breck is a new employee and hasn't been onboarded. Oh yeah, that is corporate hell. I've been there. Oh, there's more. This is one hell of a Super Bowl preview. I'm the one that put it together, and I had no idea it was going to be this long. We're not even at the halfway mark yet. Brian Baumgartner, you know him, Kevin from The Office, that guy? Yeah. He's throwing the world's largest tailgate tomorrow. He'll be at the Fort Mason Pavilion. From there, you can see the Golden Gate Bridge from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. local time, San Francisco time on Sunday. He thinks there will be potentially 1,000 lookalikes. The pitch is to organize a physical manifestation of the pregame commercial. That has resulted in a tailgate party in San Francisco, says Brian. Let's bring all the Bryans together and see what it looks like to multiply myself hundreds or thousands of times over. Brian himself will arrive with a crew of 10 Brian clones, but the public is encouraged to attend dressed like Brian, meaning Kevin from The Office, but I guess they can't say it. Some people were able to pre-order bald caps, probably too late for you by the time you're listening to this. The lookalike voted most Baumgartner-like will get 2 tickets to see the Super Bowl with Brian. He notes that it's to embody him. You don't necessarily have to look like him, but I know there'll be a lot of bald caps. They're offering free shavings. If you can't make it, there's even a virtual version of this at brianshair.com. The event will be live streamed. Also part of Super Bowl weekend tonight, Dave Chappelle has 2 shows. He's got the big fancy show. That one sold out at the Chase Center. But Dave also announced an intimate late-night show at the Chapel in San Francisco. I bet that's going to be even harder to get into, so we'll see what Dave has to say. Chiefs Wire caught up with Rob Riggle. Rob is a big Chiefs fan. I guess they had this all lined up, and then it was like, oh yeah, the Chiefs suck this year. All right, Rob, what are you eating? He said chips and guac. No-brainer on that, because it works for everybody. All the ladies like guac. The kids like guac. Grandma likes guac. The other day, my wife was like, you want chips? And I go, there's no salsa. She says, we have guac. I go, I hate guac. So I'm sorry, Rob Riggle. I hate guac. I'm a salsa guy. You know Deacon Mike that I talk about? So 30 years ago, when we worked at a radio station together, we used to sometimes go get nachos for lunch. Yeah, I mean, we were in our 20s. That was lunch. Why do you think I'm fat? I'll tell you why I'm fat. Because I produced the morning show for a while, and we used to have this fourth meal. Fourth meal was a cheeseburger and fries at 7:30 in the morning. You don't understand. Get up for work every day at 3:30 in the morning and go to 1990s era Times Square at 4-something in the morning for a radio show that starts at 5 a.m. When your friend Bobby looks at you and goes, cheeseburger at 7:30 in the morning, you go, yeah. But here's the catch. That's not breakfast, because then the rest of the morning crew around 8:30 goes, hey, we're getting bagels. So then you have like a bagel with butter an hour after your cheeseburger. That's how you get fat. That and sending Deacon Mike, he wasn't a deacon yet, it was just Mike, to go get the nachos. Now, everybody else would come back with, nachos and cheese and salsa. He comes back with guac one day. We were like, what? We hate guac. But Rob Riggle disagrees, and I digress. Rob says everybody loves guac. So that's a winner. Everybody likes chips and guac. Can't go wrong there. Now, I'm a KC man, so I got to throw some barbecue in there, too. Right now we're talking. Now, what do you know? Coincidentally, Rob Riggle has teamed up with Avocados from Mexico. They have an interactive experience that allows consumers to access up-to-date predictions through guac guru Riggle. Funny how that worked out. So the avocado people and Rob Riggle are making 3 predictions for the big game. If all 3 predictions come true, one fan can earn $60,000 plus free avocados for an entire year, which for me would be none. No, thank you. Rob Riggle's predictions are a team scores exactly 20 points, and a player shows off an eating gesture as a celebration, and announcers use the word guacamole during the broadcast. What happens if we go 0 for 3? Do we win anything? Riggle had some more Super Bowl tips. Other than the chips and guac, you got to have some charcuterie. which is a word I don't think existed till like 5 years ago. Everyone says I'm nuts. I think at some point I jumped universes, and the universe I'm from, there was no such word as charcuterie. Suddenly there is, and it's everywhere now. But like prior to the pandemic, that word didn't exist. But he wants you to have some of that. Maybe some cheese, some vegetables, some honey to dip in. Sides are critical. Coleslaw. You got to have a potato dish. No, you don't. You don't have to do any of this. You know what I'm doing? Here, I'll tell you what I'm doing. And this is, do this. Purdue makes quote-unquote air fryer wings. And I know it's all in the marketing, but you get those, you throw those in the air fryer, and then you get Frank's hot sauce, and you throw that on top. Done. You've got delicious buffalo wings. That's all you need to do. My wife did get the salsa. I got chips and salsa, so I'll do wings kind of early. Then I'll munch on the chips and salsa, have 2 beers, and that's it. And I don't have a Super Bowl party. I used to do the Super Bowl parties, but here's the thing. I like football. I want to watch the game. I don't need Deacon Mike talking to me about nonsense. I don't need to hang out with Deacon Mike during this game. I like to just hang out by myself. Are you an only child, John? I am. I digress again. Rob Riggle says, you got to have a coleslaw. No, you don't. You got to have a potato dish. Well, fries. You got to have some mac and cheese. No, you don't. Some beans. Maybe. You got to have a big screen. Of course. I'll be in front of the 70-inch Humble Brag Flex. And you got to have a lot of places to sit, and that's it. And once you got that, you've totally won. And we do have to do some politics. An interview with the President of the United States will air during the pregame. Jimmy Kimmel had some thoughts about it. I have cut down Jimmy for pacing. I have not edited the portions with President Trump speaking. But here's Jimmy Kimmel's thoughts about tomorrow's interview with the President of the United States.
President Trump sat for an interview with NBC News that will air in its entirety during the Super Bowl pregame show. And I don't know if he decided to go all out because of the big Super Bowl audience, but this one was a bacon double dementia burger with cheese. This is, even for him, this one was nuts. I mentioned last night that 700 ICE agents are being withdrawn from Minneapolis, which is very good news. But they just added some new tour dates and might be coming to a city near you.
Which cities are you headed to next?
We have 5 cities that we're looking at very strongly, but we want to be invited.
They want to be invited. They want to be invited. Isn't that the plot of the movie Sinners? You have to invite the monsters in? Yeah.
After the shooting of Renee Good, you said ICE made some mistakes. What were the mistakes?
Well, look, I'm not happy with the 2 incidents. It's not, it's both of them, not one or the other. He was not an angel, and she was not an angel.
And now they literally are angels, thanks you. He was no age, she was no age. First of all, you don't know anything about those people. How dare you weigh in on what they were and what they weren't? Keep your stupid thoughts in your diaper where they belong on this subject. And secondly, while we're identifying angels, Jeffrey Epstein was your best friend, so maybe leave angels out of the conversation. And then because that wasn't already disgusting enough, he made it worse.
You mentioned Renee Good and Alex Peretti not being angels. Do you think any of that justified what happened to them, though?
No, I don't. It should have not happened. It was a very sad, to me, it was a very sad incident, 2 incidents. And, they mentioned the one now, they don't mention the other. Well, I think they were both sad. And who feels worse about it than anybody? The people of ICE.
Right. A lot of people would think it would be the parents or the spouses or the children of the victims.
And that is your comedy news for today. Once again, it was so much fun. Let's let Andy Samberg take us out. Enjoy the game tomorrow on this very program. Comedian Ismo, he's fantastic. I get it Super Bowl Sunday, but find some time maybe on Monday to listen to the interview with Ismo, because it's really, really good and he's a lot of fun. All right, Neil Diamond, take us home.
I was born in this deli. My best friend was that baloney. That is until I met you. Ham, touching cheese.